On this episode of Locked On Angels, Jorge Soler saved the game for the Halos last night and led them to a victory. To celebrate, I think we should build a rocket ship and send Detmers and Wash to the moon. Maybe even throw Taylor Ward on that ship as well. We've got the recap for you. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to give back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation. And this episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Hey, we're here talking Angels baseball 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, every single weekday. On today's show, how can the Halos help Trout stay on the field now? Feels like they've tried everything, so what do? And what in the world is behind Ron Washington's decisions? You probably saw, you already know what I'm going to say about last night's decision making, but could a high school baseball coach help us understand the struggles that Wash might be facing? We're going to ask him, and he'll share in our second segment. But Mike, we have to recap what happened against the Blue Jays as the Angels walk off the Blue Jays 5-4 on Wednesday night.
Yeah, at the end of the game, offensively, they were great. But before that last inning, they were offensive, right? They had 3 opportunities to score and failed in the first couple of innings. Bottom one, Neto walked, Shonawell singled, but then Taylor Ward struck out, and that's going to be a theme as we talk about the game last night. So did Jorge Soler, but I'm not mad at him because he did get the walk-off. And then Logan O'Hoppe was up, and Nolan Shonawell decided to steal second, and he's not fast, not fleet of foot. No. He runs with his elbows out, and he decided to do that on his own.
Got the chicken arms running out there.
You can't do that with Logan O'Hoppe at the plate. And he had a tough game last night, but you still can't do that with O'Hoppe at the plate with an opportunity to score, right?
Yeah, no excuses to have a runner on third with no outs and not even get him home on a ground out to second or a sacrifice fly.
Right. Now, bottom 3, 2 outs. Neto was hit by a pitch, and then Shonawell walks, but then Taylor Ward flies out to deep center. At least he made contact, but that was the second opportunity that they wasted. And then bottom 5, Rengifo walked, and then Kyron Paris singled. Johnny, he worked an 0-2 count to a 2-2 count, and then got a single up the middle. Looked very good last night. And then there was a balk, and then that moved the runners over to second and third. And then Neto strikes out. He's swinging at 2 pitches down and away out of the zone. They intentionally walk Shonawell to load the bases there because they're playing the averages. Shonawell's probably going to make contact. The next batter, Taylor Ward, probably not going to make contact. John, he didn't make contact, and he struck out looking.
Yeah,
for the second time,
the second time in the game, he struck out looking, Mike. Right. And in this one, he swings at 2 down and away sliders, and then he watches a sinker on the outside edge of the zone and lets that go by. And it wasn't even the edge; it was the furthest part of the zone away from him. So he strikes out looking. Soler grounds out. There's the third opportunity wasted, and then to add to that, from the bottom of the first to the bottom of the third, the Halos struck out in 6 consecutive at-bats. They certainly looked like they hit the factory reset button in this one. And I said, well, I'll give them another go-around. And it did seem to be a little bit better, except for Taylor Ward. He went back to, the factory installed equipment in his brain.
No kidding.
And starting over at age 0 again, right?
John, entering last night, Yusei Kikuchi, when he's on the mound, the Angels have only scored 20 runs in support of him. That's less than 3 runs a game. And he was good last night. Clean through 5 innings, struggled in the 6th inning, but just gave up 1 run. Now, that's been his most difficult inning so far this season. He has a 6.23 ERA in the 6th inning so far this season. But he did just, again, give up that 1 run. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, 91 pitches. Maybe his best start of the season. He had two really good starts in a row since that meltdown against the Twins. And I do want to point out, like, Kikuchi's made some adjustments since that meltdown, and I think it's evident that Barry Enright does know what he's doing. I know that fans will often say about the Angels, they can't fix anybody, but I think Enright does notice things and has conversations, and we've just seen with Kikuchi, just an adjustment in his posture, not leaning back, but leaning more, actually standing up more straight up, has allowed him to get more bite on his off-speed stuff.
There was a great article from The Athletic about surprising numbers around the league, and the stuff plus on Kikuchi's pitches has come down from last year. And I'll be interested to see if that improves with the posture change that he's made, because Mike, he was hitting 97 on his fastball. I think I've seen 97 from him all year long. And so that was really interesting. Yoan Moncada bails him out in the bottom of the 6th, hits a 2-run home run, or I'm sorry, his second home run of the season. It was a solo shot to make it 1-1. Yoan Moncada hitting from the left side, dumping it in that right field corner. A beautiful sight to see. But then the Angels give it right back, Michael. Because who's coming into a 1-1 game other than Reid Detmers, who allowed the first 3 to reach? The crowd let him hear it with boos. Detmers has given up 12 runs on 11 hits in his last 1/3 of an inning. And the reason why you say 1/3 of an inning, hasn't been out there 3 times, right? And he's only earned 1 out in all of that time. So the Jays take a 1-run lead in that one.
Yeah, at that point, it was a 1-run lead. And John, you know what made me mad? When the camera cuts to Reid Detmers, he's in the dugout, and he's biting his nails and kind of cleaning his nails and just hanging out. And I'm like, dude, get up on that fence, cheer on your team. You caused this, and now you need to cheer on the next pitcher, which was Ryan Zefferjon, to cheer him on and get him out of this. John, I saw this quote, heard this quote from Wash after the game. He said that he thought this was the perfect opportunity for Reid to get going again. So you thought in a 1-1 game that you're going to bring in a guy who hasn't recorded more than 1 out in his last 3 outings. This is a perfect spot for this guy who was a starter. Now he's a reliever to come in a heated moment and try to get you out. That just is so, it's so stupid. It's so foolish. I don't know why I can see it and Wash can't see it.
I got the perfect opportunity for Reid Detmers, and it's right here. My, my Trash Panda hat. Actually, no, that would be an insult to the Trash Pandas, who are actually fun to watch and don't have guys like Detmers on the team. Zefferjon had to clean it up, but he entered and gave up 2 more runs, and they were charged to Detmers, which he deserves because they were his runners on base. But he did strike out 2 of the last 3 batters he faced. Kyron Paris leads off the 7th with his 6th home run of the season. He was really on that first pitch, and entering last night when the Angels swing at the first pitch of an at-bat. This came from Jared Timms of Talkin' Halos. 407 plate appearances. They're 276, 301 on base, and 503 slugging, 19 doubles and 23 home runs. Mike, it would have been great if Kyron Paris hit the go-ahead home run in that moment, but he did make it 4-2 Blue Jays at that point.
Right. Bottom 8. So Soler leads off. Angels with an opportunity maybe to come back. So Soler leads off with a single, and Moncada was hit by a pitch. And then they move to 2nd and 3rd on a wild pitch. But both d'Arnaud and Adele strike out, and their strikeouts swinging, they were swinging at garbage in the dirt. I don't know what they were waiting for, but you could just see the nerves. You could just see like the worry and the anxiety as they're standing there. It wasn't a d'Arnaud veteran at bat. It was a terrible at bat. And then Joe Adele just is guessing constantly as he comes up there.
Little, who was the pitcher for the Blue Jays, was wild. And so I'm sitting there watching the game, saying out loud, don't bail this guy out. Let him put you on base. Mike, there was a wild pitch that skipped in front of the plate. It bounced off Alejandro Kirk's shoulder and went into the crowd. I'm not swinging at anything this guy is throwing me. And I'm 36-year-old nerd with a podcast. And even I know I shouldn't let the bat go off of my shoulder in that moment.
Yeah. So that was a terrible inning. I was frustrated with that inning, and it was another wasted opportunity. Bottom 9, man, I felt like we were going to get buttercupped here because the Angels loaded the bases with nobody out. Paris walks, Neto and Shawnuel, they follow with singles. And I was frustrated with Paris at second base because he held, and you could see that ball was going to drop way before the center fielder could even get close to it. But he held and went to third base. So bases loaded. Taylor Ward comes up, John. same pitch, same freaking pitch
Mhm.
that he struck out looking on in his previous at bat, he does it again.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's looking for. He must be guessing. He just doesn't have a game plan or a strategy when he gets to the plate.
We don't need him in the lineup tomorrow.
No.
Or tonight, I should say.
Yeah.
We don't need to see him in the lineup because that's absolutely, if you're going to yank Rengifo for forgetting how many outs there are, then you need to yank Taylor Ward for the way he's been just guessing at the plate and watching pitches down the middle. So, despite his best efforts, Ron Washington's team wins this game because Jorge Soler hits a bases loaded double down the left field line. You love that left field line, Mike. Yep. They win at 5-4. They're 15-20, and they get a series win against the Blue Jays. But the player of the game is the Big A's left field, Michael, because that ball plinkoed all around the corner of the field. And I think that was really what caused Soler to be able to clear the bases in that one.
We're recording this right after the game on Wednesday night, so there might be some details that we're not aware of. But John, do you anticipate Reid Detmers getting sent down at some point today?
He has to. He's got options. There's no reasons for him to be on this team anymore. And if you're going to bring up warm bodies, then bring up somebody like Hunter Strickland. Just signed his deal, so give him Reid's spot in the bullpen because this isn't working right now. And Reid Detmers can't even be a long relief guy. So Reid Jose Suarez Detmers needs to be optioned somewhere else. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up, we're going to talk about that decision of Wash bringing in Reid Detmers in that moment. We've got an everydayer joining us. He's a coach. You've heard him referred to as Cope, and he's going to share what a manager is thinking in that moment. We'll get to all of that coming right up.
Get the supplies that you need from the site that's made for the skilled trades at supplyhouse.com. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, they got an inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 plus top brands. You're going to find exactly what you need. It'll be delivered fast from coast to coast. And if you need some help, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service. You're going to be able to talk to a real person. It's not AI. It's not made up. It's not push this button to get to this thing. You can talk to a real person, which is great. And trade pros that are looking for the extra edge, you can join Supply House's free Trade Master program. It offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, discounts on every order. Join that Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM, and you can order HVAC, plumbing, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Use our promo code when you're checking out, SH5, for 5% off your first order at supplyhouse.com.
And today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Oh my goodness, the NBA playoffs are insane right now. If you haven't been watching, there's a lot of highlight-worthy performances out there. Major momentum shifts, can't miss moments, whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player. There's never been a better time to get in on all the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live during the game with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. So if you're new to FanDuel, it's time to sign up right now because it's the perfect time to do it. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and you're listening to Locked On Angels. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. John, I had a great conversation with Locked On Everydayer Cope. And he is a high school pitching coach and works for the local high school and has also played ball in college. John, he's not a nerd with a podcast. He is an athlete who has played ball.
Right.
And when you and I were discussing Wash's decisions about bringing in Reid Detmers and others over the last couple of days, I decided to pick his brain and ask him, like, hey, as a pitching coach, as a guy who's actually coaching players, I know it's at the high school level, but as a guy actually coaching players, what's your perspective? What's the tension there? Why would Wash keep going back to the same guy? And so we thought, instead of just sharing what he said, let's bring him on the show. So we want to welcome Locked On Everydayer Cope to the show. Welcome, Cope. We're glad to have you.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, my friend. What, Jeremy? Who's Jeremy? No, I'm just kidding.
I have a first name. It's true.
Yeah. All right. So listen, will you give us some perspective here on what it's like to make decisions in those moments where
because I'm about to lose it, Coach.
John's ready to fire wash. We're going to send him to the moon. And so you're a huge Angel fan. You've been an Angel fan probably as long as we have. You've seen this team struggle. You've seen this team win. And then you've seen this team struggle again. So as a former player at college, as somebody who coaches players right now, can you give us some perspective as to what might be going through the mind of Wash and Barry Enright and the other coaches on the Angels?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we've been in this situation at the high school level on our team where we have really kind of lost confidence at times in the guys that we're bringing in and out of the bullpen. We've had a similar situations almost been mirrored where our starters are money and then they will pitch a gem for 5 or 6 innings. High school game is 7. So they hand it off to the bullpen and then we have just struggled. And those decisions can be tough to make because what you're really doing is it's a dance of confidence and you're trying to figure out who you have confidence in because that matters a lot, but you're also trying to figure out who coming out of that bullpen has confidence. It almost doesn't matter what they're throwing. It's do they believe they can get outs? And that can be tough. And so all of the pregame plans that you had or preseason plans of this is going to be our 6th inning guy, or this is going to be our closer, or whatever, that stuff goes out the window because you're just trying to find anyone that can get an out in that situation. And so, it's a tough situation to find yourself in. And that's why I think we're seeing the Angels pull guys in situations that don't seem like they fit that player, because I think they're just trying to figure it out right now. And the other part of that is you're seeing some of the starters stretch into the 7th and 8th inning now. We saw Kyle Hendricks do that. We saw Anderson go into the 7th the other day. And I think part of that is, hey, let's minimize the number of outs we have to get with our bullpen and lean into what we have right now, which is a strength in our pitching staff. And I've had to do that too. It's tough.
Yeah. Now, Wash said that he put Detmers in because he felt like that would be a good moment for him to kind of find it again. It sounds ridiculous for, nerds like us on a podcast, but give me your perspective as a coach. Have you had those moments just with high school guys? Have you seen those moments play out when you were playing? Give me some thoughts there.
Yeah. So I think in some ways, I mean, the fact that it's a clean inning with the bases empty, that's the best time to bring in a guy that's struggling with some confidence. You don't want to put him in with any kind of added pressure. You want to try and get them into that moment where things feel smooth. I can't remember where they were in the lineup, but if you're sort of in the back end of the lineup and you got a clean inning, that's a good time to bring a guy in that's been struggling and hope they can get an out or two and hand it off to the next guy. But the challenge is there, and it's, you're just looking for anything that you can call a win. Like, hey, you got ahead of that guy. You went strike 1 on that guy. That's huge. We've been working on that. Or, getting that pitch that you've been trying to get over for a strike, the curveball, the slider, whatever, having some success with that, highlighting that and being able to say, hey, we did that well. But I think where we tend to see some of the mistakes we've been frustrated with, I think with the Angels this season, is you get a guy who throws an inning, like I'm thinking of Ryan Johnson's early in the year. He throws a great first inning. That should be the win, especially for a young guy, a guy that needs some confidence boost. If you get a win, get the win and get out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Get the next guy in so that guy walks away going, I feel really good. Even if they feel like I could have gone another inning, they have that sort of confidence there. But I'd rather not find out that you couldn't and make you think that you could and feel really good about yourself. Take the wins that you have and then hand it off to someone else instead of trying to squeeze everything you can out of someone, and then it goes bad and it sours the whole thing.
To your point, Detmers came in with nobody on, nobody out, and he faced 6, 7, and 8. Started with Ernie Clement batting 6th, Andres Jimenez batting 7th, Miles Straw batting 8th. Zephyr John came in and faced Jonathan Clase, and then it turned over to Bo Bichette. So it is a situation that you described here. But my question, is Detmers communicating some sort of confidence or lack thereof that Wash is just seeing in him and going, you know what, this is the moment, this is the guy, this is the arm I want to go with?
I don't see it. But I know that as a coach, as a manager, you have to, you're trying to win today, but you also do have to think about the whole season. And you have to think like, I need these guys in a month. I need these guys down the line. There's going to be some games like we can't keep going with this guy doing this. So either he's got to figure it out or he's got to go away and we got to replace him. But you don't gain confidence in the bullpen. You gain confidence in like facing live hitters. So it's not something you can fix on the side. You can work on mechanics and you can do all that stuff, but you don't build that confidence till you get in a game and get the outs. And so some of these guys, it might need to happen at AAA or whatever, but they're going to need to have success against hitters before anything changes.
Now, when we talked, you had a solution for some of the struggles with your high school guys. Now you're playing 2 or 3 games a week. You said you took your third starter and he kind of became a swing man for you. So from your coaching mind, what do you think the solution is for Wash and Enright in making decisions and what to do with this pitching staff, specifically with the bullpen?
Yeah, I do think we have to lean into where we're strong right now, which is starting pitching. And I think we got to trust those guys to get a little deeper into games. Let them work through some of those situations where you get in the 6th inning and you might normally go to the bullpen. I think that guy on the mound is probably our best option right now. And so, let's let him finish. Let's let him go a whole inning longer than we might normally. That would be where I would start. But, you've also got to find the guys that do have confidence, and it might be at a lower level that you see someone who is on the rise and they are feeling really good, and you can tap into that confidence and maybe pull them up and get a couple innings out of them while you can, before things go bad with somebody else. And then ultimately you got to trust, I think in these situations, you have to trust veterans. That's what we had to end up doing is, we have all these guys that are great, but finally it came down to, let's get the senior in there. He may not have the best stuff, but he's been in games like this before. And for us, that was starting to work, getting that guy in there that, this is not his first time. He's not overwhelmed by the moment. Failure's not going to ruin him because he's been through highs and lows before. And so, trusting those veterans to get the job done.
Yeah, that's it's brilliant, man. Appreciate the wisdom that you can give us there, because it's frustrating. I know, and you're a fan as well, so I know it's frustrating for you as well. But totally. That wisdom is good, and I think it's helpful to as we watch. Like, it's helpful to what's the process, because it feels ridiculous to the point where my brother John says, "Gotta fire Wash."
I'm done, man. I'm done. It's just mind-boggling, the decision making sometimes, especially when I'm thinking, you just had Burke warming up, and I know that he was coming in to help Kikuchi get the job done, and so he's ready, he's there, and give him the 7th inning, give him the 8th inning. He came in later in the game, but Kobe, really appreciate your time, man. Thank you, Mike. I think I found my co-host for when you're gone next time. I think have Jeremy on here with us. Jeremy, thanks for being here with us, everyone, and appreciate you stopping by.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Watching last night's game, I needed something to snack on, John. And I needed my wonderful pistachios, and you might need them too if the Angels keep playing the way that they're playing. And you can get started by checking out wonderfulpistachios.com. It's a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, filled with a good source of protein. It's one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to keep you going all day long. There's the no-shell variety, perfect for grab-and-go snack, and then there's the in-shelled variety for nervous games, frustrating games, Ron Washington bad decision games like last night. Get snacking, get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
Mike, before he got hurt, Mike Trout played in every single game, 29 total games up to that point. That's the same amount of games he played last year before he had that meniscus tear. Now, the reason Trout played in the first 29 games in all of them, he said, I told Wash, I took a lot of games off last year. I want to play every game as much as I can. And he did. He played 22 games in right field, 7 games as the DH. And the goal of moving him to right field was to help soften the wear and tear on Trout. And the goal of having him move to DH was the same. However, before he hurt his knee recently, Trout said that this rotation of right field and DH was helping him feel like a little kid again. He said the rotation of DHing, even back-to-back DHing, has been good because it refuels the legs. Despite all that,
yeah,
all this strategy, all this thought into how can we keep Trout healthy, he still got hurt. The official diagnosis is a bone bruise. He said that he's feeling better, but Wash said he's still not able to do all baseball activities yet. Trout said he hopes to be on the injured list for a minimum of 10 days, which is the minimum for the IL, and he's eligible to be activated on Sunday, isn't he, Mike?
Yeah. Now, here's the reality, John. With all this strategy, Trout still got hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And why? It was because Trout was being Trout. He was hustling down the line, trying to beat a throw to first base, trying to get on base, help motivate the team, help them score some runs, right? Trout's being Trout. That's not something that you can protect Mike Trout from.
Yeah.
You can't protect Mike Trout from himself. So, Johnny, what do the Halos do now? If he comes back, because we haven't seen him back. I know he can come back on Sunday potentially, but there's always the question of like, maybe his kneecap fell off and the Angels aren't telling us, right? Because those are some of the injuries that happen.
Mike, it's just knee irritation, right?
Yeah, ankle irritation and nose irritation. I'm irritated with those diagnoses.
Yeah.
But Johnny, what do the Halos do with Trout if and when he does come back?
Look, I think that we talk a lot about reading the room, right? You have to read the situation. You have to understand what's gone on before you're at bat and what might happen after you're at bat. You got to take a look around the field, see where the defenders are lined up, all that stuff. When it comes to Trout, Mike, I think that you have to have a conversation with him of, hey, dude, this is the reality of the situation. You are older. Your body's not going to recover the way that it used to, and freak injuries can happen. And he knows that freak injuries can happen. He broke his hamate bone in his hand, and that kept him out the rest of the 2023 season. That's a little tiny bone in your little tiny hand that, you break. And I think the solution is to just get rid of it. It's like you don't even need it.
Yeah.
And so I think what you have to do is have a conversation with Trout and say, look, we don't want you to not be yourself, but also, was it worth it to try to stretch out that single? Was it worth it to get on base in that moment? We want you to be Trout. And we know that part of being Trout is taking risks, making the big plays, hustling down the line, right? I don't think anybody is ever going to accuse Trout of not having any hustle. The biggest criticism against him is that he's not on the field. And right now he's struggling to begin the season. However, he's been productive despite having a terrible batting average.
Right.
Still getting it done in one way or another. But I say that because nobody would ever in their right mind accuse Mike Trout of not hustling and not playing his heart out. We all know that's him, and it's been him his entire career. But Mike, if he's not bolting down the line to first base in a situation where, he might be able to beat that out. Look, I don't want him pulling off halfway down the line.
Sure.
That's not what I'm saying here. But I think sometimes you just have to understand, was it worth it to hustle out that single? Because maybe you're trying to get the inning started. You're trying to get on base. Maybe there's runners in scoring position and, you're bringing one home by, the only play is at first base. And so you're trying to beat that throw out. But I think that Trout has to be smart. I think that management has to be smart. Coaching has to be smart and just have a serious conversation about, hey, dude, maybe you don't need to be Trout all the time. We appreciate that. However, the fact is, your body might not be able to be Mike Trout all the time. What do you think, Mike?
I agree with that. I just think that you're asking Mike Trout to do what is antithetical to Mike Trout, right? And he is a leader in the sense that he is a hustler. He's not going to be taken off the field because he forgot how many outs there were, like Rengifo last night, right? That's not ever going to be him. He's going to be the guy that's going to go at 110%, right? The problem is that extra 10% is why he hasn't been on the field, because he hurt himself doing this or hurt himself doing that. And so I agree with you. I think you got to sit down and have a conversation with him and say, man, it's okay if you ground out to short and it's not deep in the hole. It's okay to maybe go about 75% of the time, right? Like go 80%, not 100% down the line. I just don't know if what's happening up here in his mind is going to connect to what's taking place in his body. And I know it was a freak thing with him stretching out at first. That maybe is something that you have a conversation with him about as well. Like, just be very careful when you're sliding in. Be very careful when you're leaping. We saw that last night with the Blue Jays. They had somebody that stretched to first base and they hurt themselves and had to leave the game. And so that's a reality of the game. And so the good news is that this wasn't like a freak thing or a fluke thing. It's kind of a thing that happens in the game. Problem is that it just keeps happening to the GOAT. It keeps happening to Mike Trout, who's trying to stay on the field and who's trying to be in there more often than not.
Well, look, what's he, 33? Is he going to be 33 this year? Or Mike, when you're in your young 30s, early 30s, I should say, you kind of have a moment of reflection and recognition of, oh, that kind of hurts a little bit more than it used to, or, oh, I can't do that as well as I used to. That's the reality of getting older. And I know that, 33 is not old, but it is in baseball terms.
Right.
And, me just having gone through it, being 36 now, like there's a lot of realizations that set in of, hey, I can't do what I used to do. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to adjust to that. And so maybe this is the existential crisis level of things for Mike Trout, where it's like, hey, dude, like, yeah, you're a stud, but like you can't be as stud-like as you once were because your body just isn't going to let you.
Yeah.
And I think that that's an important conversation piece as well.
Yeah. I think with Trout, you can say to him like, hey, we'd rather have you line a single to left than to hustle down the line and hurt yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's we're going to take that. And I know that he's trying to get going and I know that he's trying to stir up some momentum.
He's pressing. Yeah.
He's doing everything that he needs to do. And that's the thing. We'll appreciate you, Mike, for who you are. It's a conversation we had on this show a couple years ago when we talked about Jared Walsh. The reason why when Jared Walsh was struggling and nobody booed him was because you knew Jared Walsh cared and he was giving 110%. Mike Trout cares. He's going to give 110%. But I think what the managers and coaches want to say to him is, hey, dial that back to about 100, right? Yeah. Dial that back, please.
Yeah, you can sacrifice a little bit of that percentage if it means keeping you on the field. Because again, some Mike Trout is better than no Mike Trout.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now for your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. You're going to get local analysis on a national scale, and you can find it on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, be sure you give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels. Connect with Mike and I at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to YouTube. Find today's episode, get in the conversation by getting in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. Mike, there's a game tonight, another Thursday night game. Fortunately, the Angels are not traveling anywhere, so they're not behind the eight ball in that regard. So if you want instant reaction, make sure you catch the postcast with Gavin Carlson. He's live right after the game, always does a fantastic job. And so if you want immediate reaction, go there. But for tomorrow's show, Mike, we're going to be doing a Fan Mail Friday, right?
Right. And we would love to hear your thoughts on what Everydayer Cope said as a coach and what you would do, how you would approach this bullpen, and maybe even what you would do with Mike Trout. And we would love to hear the sultry sounds of your voice. So give us a call and leave us a voicemail at 714-409-6396. It's on the screen. It's also in the show description. It's Fan Mail Friday tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
All right. We're looking forward to your questions. One of our favorite days of the week. Again, catch the postcast with Gavin if you want instant reaction. Of course, we'll be tweeting and throwing fits on Super Halo Bros and Locked On Angels, most likely from me, right, Mike? Yeah,
Yes.
all the unreasonable stuff comes from me.
We appreciate all of the everydayers that have been tagging us, though, when things happen and they're just like immediately saying, Wash did it again, and then we get tagged. I love the dialogue that's taking place. It's fantastic.
So much fun, despite the bizarro world decisions that get made on the field sometimes. All right, friends, we hope you'll come back and join us. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Friday.
It's 2 wins, but it feels like almost 2 losses, right?
Yeah, exactly.